to this very live episode of the Panel Beaters, brought to you by Big Pond for round 10 of the championship at Mount Panorama. It's V8 Supercar Grand Finals time. This is better than the ARL, the AFL, the NRL, the Melbourne Cup.
This is our grand
This is
final.
our thing. This is where it all happens for motorsport, and we've got a huge show lined up for everybody tonight for the next 90 minutes or so, and it's a very, very special show indeed, and I want to run through a whole bunch of things, but before I do that, I want to present to you our co-drivers for this evening. Please welcome from Team BOC, Bradley Jones.
Hey! Thanks, Neil.
And keep that applause going, you very live audience, you, for the man who wears more makeup than all our wives, Gregory Rust.
Thank you. I'm trying to cut down.
You look sweet tonight, honey.
Terrific.
Now, not only are we live, as we always are on Big Pond around Australia, around the world, for those of you with broadband, you're watching us. For those of you that are unlucky enough not to have it, you should have it, but you're listening to us. But we're also live tonight on radio station 2BS, and we're on the 8 big screens right around Mount Panorama. And of course, there's a massive audience building up here this weekend for this magnificent motor race. And so far, we have had so much to talk about. We had a fantastic day yesterday with 2 hours of practice, capped at 30 laps for the first session of practice. And then today, we've had qualifying together with 2 other sessions, including a co-driver session. And our special guests, the first of many special guests for this evening, are joining us. Would you please put your hands together for Mark Scaife and Todd Kelly. Thank you.
Boys, welcome. Second fastest. What a way to start off the weekend. You've been chasing Lowndesy, but the car seems pretty good straight from the get-go, Mark.
Would have been better if it was first fastest, Rusty, but no, the car was good from the time we wheeled out, and based on the performance from the outset, it's pretty encouraging, I think, as a race car.
Todd, what about you? Are you happy with? Have you both struck a balance in the car, the two of you? You know, is there much compromise that you've needed to suit Mark, or vice versa?
Not really, to be honest. We've both been saying the same things all weekend, and the way the car's progressed through the sessions has probably gone more down a track that suits me, and Mark seems to come in and think that the car's better each time as well. So really, it couldn't be better, to be honest. The car's been getting faster and faster, and with what we've done, we've probably got 3 real solid setups now that we can roll out, and depending on what the weather does on Sunday, bolt straight on the car and be happy with it.
MS, I noted yesterday that given you look at the speed of the cars after the first session, take a snapshot and compare that minus 365 days, and a lot more speed in the cars this year. We've had a small change in the gearing on the cars with a change in the diff ratio, but is the track fast, or has everybody just grown that much more in speed and performance capabilities?
Look, I think it's the result of millions of dollars, basically. I mean, we don't spend millions of dollars to make the cars go slower, and certainly in the year that you've pointed out, Crompo, we've made massive gains with our engine program, for instance. I mean, not just the diff ratio, but we would be, if we come here with the same ratio, we'd be 7 or 8 k's faster. The engine wasn't probably the best part of the car throughout 2004, and certainly it's a lot better now. The whole car's better. Looking at our corner speeds, we're up 3 or 4 k everywhere. And probably, the overall grip level of the place, it changes quite a lot, because when Lowndes did a 7.3 this morning, I thought when we first went out in qualifying after the rain throughout lunchtime that the grip level was definitely lower. It took us all a lot longer to get that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We struggled to get to the time that we thought we should do. It's such a changeable place that, who knows.
And on that subject, there's every likelihood that we may well face a wet, or at least a semi-wet, shootout for tomorrow. Are you blokes comfortable with the way your car's behaving if you have those conditions? I mean, obviously you dealt with it at Sandown.
I think Todd's going to be okay with it. He'll probably sit there and say, Scavy, that was a dud if it was ordinary, and geez, that oversteer wasn't too bad.
Is the car adaptable to those conditions? Can you make relatively simple changes without having to reconfigure everything to be able to get speed out of it if it's a dirty day tomorrow?
I think so. I mean, we've had that in our mind the whole time based on the forecast. So, in our cars normally when we fire them into wet, they tend to respond pretty well. So we don't have to change them too much.
Bradley, we've been... Sorry, Bradley.
I was just sitting here very quietly minding my own business.
I hate to wake you up.
I
hate to wake you up in the middle of the program, but we've been talking through all the course of this weekend to all the boys about the variation in the diff, and I invite each of you to have a thought on this. But it's a small change to the gearing. It's probably got some pluses and minuses in a few places, but it doesn't seem to have had the impact that theoretically we thought it may have had when everybody was just talking about it in the lead up to the race.
Have you noticed it, Brad?
Diff ratio is the least of my problems.
Have you noticed?
I didn't even know it was different. Is it different, is it? Still not on the limiter. I think the diff really hasn't had much of an impact. I don't think that's what you're seeing here in terms of speed. I think what Mark said is exactly right. Everyone's lifted a little bit. There's been a lot of money spent in different areas, and the fast guys, they're certainly doing the business. I mean, a 271, that is a very fast time compared to what they were doing last year. If you look at the growth over the last few years, I think you'd find there's been a bigger jump from last year to this year than there has for maybe 4 years or something.
Do you, given the conditions, if they are okay, Mark, do you see a 6 in the day tomorrow? I mean, that was done a couple of years ago with some different configuration in engines and so on, but is that doable in the current scenario?
I think the biggest thing, Crompo, will be what the conditions like in the morning. We've seen when it showers, it cleans the surface off and you lose some grip. If it's reasonable weather through the whole of the day, then by tomorrow afternoon, if the track has got a higher grip level, then a 6 is possible. Looking at our data, I mean, to find half a second around here, although it sounds a lot, it's not that much at this sort of place.
No. Just recapping what happened today, if you're just catching up with the news, Craig Lowndes was the fastest in qualifying, a 2.7.1. Scapey was second quick, a 2.7.5. Marcus Ambrose third with a 7.7. Then Garth Tander in the HSV dealer team entry was a 7.7. Greg Murphy did a 7.8. Stevie Richards did a 7.9. Jason Richards in the Dodo Racing entry did an 8.1. Then Russell Ingall, Glenn Seaton and Jimmy Richards rounding out the top 10. And Mark, for me, man of the match was Richo yesterday. Yeah. Last year he didn't see a new tyre when he partnered Steve in the Castrol car, so you've got to go back 700 days before Jimmy's had a brand new tyre on a V8 Supercar. He dusts himself off. We know he runs in the Carrera Cup very effectively all year, and he runs around out there and goes twang and knocks out an 8-something, and for me, when you consider that he's not in the cars, he hasn't seen a new tyre for 700 days and he's 58 years of age, to me that's an outstanding performance.
Look, it's one of the things that, probably through his whole career that he's been able to do very, very well is adapt to whatever the grip level is. Whether he's rallying, he's targering, he's driving one of these cars. And how he ever got that Gentleman Jim thing, I just do not know.
Absolutely. You should see him drunk. He's a mess, isn't he?
Well, there's two things that make him...
You've never seen anyone treat a woman worse than him when he's drunk.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that one.
Well, you should, maybe I've gone a little far with it.
Probably should call Faye about that. Back pedal.
He's a lovely bloke, and Faye's a lovely bloke.
Let's talk about his driving. Can we talk about his driving?
Let's get back to his driving. But you know what is interesting while you're talking about Richard?
Sweating up now.
It's all right, I'll sort it all out.
You'll have to. You want their phone number? You want to give Faye a call?
No, it's okay. I wasn't suggesting Faye. He treats her very well.
Oh, well, who are you suggesting?
I just said when he's drunk. Let's not even go
easy. You'll end up in court in a minute.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Gentleman Jim, I just think he is a gentleman, and it's a great Now, what I was going to say was he really struggled in Stephen's car last year, so the configuration of your car must really lend itself to the way he gets the performance out of it, because every time he turns up here in one of your cars, bang.
He seems happy,
he's right on the money. He's very comfortable. He didn't look comfortable last year.
Well, he was third in 2003. I mean, he qualified third, which is just a fantastic effort. And from the time that he's rolled out here, he's had good feedback. He's actually driving the car. When you drive the Porsches, and clearly for every car there's a different style, isn't there? So you're trying to achieve something from whatever car you're in. He's had a good feel for what he needed to do and the discipline of driving these cars. And he's a freakish ability. I mean, at 58, to grab hold of it by the scruff of the neck and lob it in the top 10 is bloody good.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. He'll be an interesting bloke to watch over the weekend. He's partnered with a young fellow by the name of James Courtney, and I think they'll be a combination that'll be very strong.
You are watching the Panel Beaters live. We're broadcasting from the Super Cheap Auto 1000. We'd invite you to be a part of the show. You can do that by several means. We're broadcasting also right around the circuit through the 8 big screens and through 2BS here at Bathurst. Give us a call, 02 6334 2524, just 6334 2524. If you're around the track, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. We'll talk to the studio audience here very shortly. One question we perhaps didn't get to, and you touched on it a second ago, was about James Courtney. How's he settled in? First Bathurst, he had his first ever V8 Supercar race at Sandown. How's he settling in?
Look, I think I'm sure Todd would also agree that he's really done a much better job than I thought he would. He did an 8.5 something today, which is a bloody good time around here for not ever being around here. He's probably only done 12 or 13 laps. And when the car's good, I mean, this is probably a little bit of the Richo thing. When the car's good and it's nice to drive, it's not trying to bite you all the time. Both those guys have done a much better job than I thought they would. They're the dark horses, don't you worry.
Yeah.
If you would have went down to Sportsbet earlier in the week, there was probably some reasonable odds to have jumped on the Jim and Jim show.
I'm glad you segued us to that, Mark, because I happen to have those figures here that I prepared a little earlier. And in fact, if you throw some money on the two lunatics in red down the end of the table, there's $5 in it, so it's hardly even worth going down there, is it? Really? Same for Lowndes and Muller, $5. Ambrose and Luff are paying $6.50. Rick Kelly and Garth Tander $6.50. If Bradley gets up, you'll make some dough, though.
700 to 1, is it?
Yeah, you'll get about $18 million, I'd say.
Laugh it up. A friend of mine put some money on us in 2001 and won about $18,000.
See? That was just exactly what my point was.
No one's laughing now, are they?
No, he's dumped 50 since then.
No, you can't win every time. That's what gambling's all about. Take a few risks.
Keep digging, Bradley.
Yeah. I'll have another
and on it goes. Russell Ingall, $13. Greg Murphy, $8. Yes, Mark, go ahead.
Jim. You didn't
Where's
even
Jimbo?
get to them.
Yeah.
I knew there was a point to that conversation.
You got led into it.
$41.
Oh, still not bad.
That's actually all right. Are they still open at this time of night? TAB Sportsman?
You've never had a bet in your life.
No, because you could lose money.
Yeah.
Turn it up. Not going to be a
He'll
part of
bet
that
with
whole
yours,
process.
What?
He'll bet with your money, though.
Yeah, that's exactly
In
right.
fact, I may have already done that once or twice. That number again.
6334 2524.
2524. We've got other numbers as well. Yeah. Do you want to do the other numbers as well?
No, we only need this
do you
one
want to
at this
do,
stage.
do you want to do the email address?
What about your mobile? 041.
There's a funny story to that.
He did that once. He did that once.
Shall I tell that story? It's a boring story.
On the Darren Hinch show.
No, it wasn't the Darren Hinch show.
What was it?
What was that thing they used to have on Channel 7 at 7 o'clock or something?
Yeah, and who used to host it, Neil?
No, he was whatever it was, some crook show on Channel 7. Anyway, it was 7 o'clock at night, and he was doing it, and they did a live cross, and I was driving for HRT at the time. And
they wanted to talk to Brock, but they couldn't
we were
get
sponsored
him.
by Telecom Mobiles, and for some reason the conversation led to communications, and it required talking about a phone number, and I couldn't think of one on the spot in live television, so I spat out mine. And when I got home, I had my mobile diverting to my home, which was captured on my answering machine, and my answering machine had just 4 trillion messages on it. Good on you, mate. Have a great weekend.
But even better, it was on divert, so it cost him like $500.
That's right.
And him being Mr. Squeaky Clean, he wouldn't give Brock's number like I suggested at the head of the show, and he had one woman ringing him for weeks, telling him she was having his baby.
That's for a different story. That's for another time.
Was that when he was drunk?
That's for another time. Yeah.
The phone bill came to me like this. It was page after page. It was an ugly scene.
What some blokes will do to be popular.
Yeah, I know. You've got to try hard sometimes, don't you? Mark Scaife and Todd Kelly, best of British for you this weekend. I hope you go well, you blokes. You're due for a little change of fortune. It's been a bit tough for you from time to time in the last couple of seasons, but we know that you've had outstanding success up here in the past. Very best of luck, young Todd. You haven't said much tonight. You got away perfectly, didn't you?
Yeah, all you blokes.
What about a round of applause for Todd Kelly and Mark Scaife from the Holden Racing team? And we're back right after this break.
Welcome back. We are broadcasting live right around Mount Panorama on the 8 big screens. A hello and welcome to everyone listening through 2BS at Bathurst, our live audience here in Pit Lane as well. Another big round of applause. Fantastic to have you here. This is the Panel Beaters. You can email us as well, panelbeaters@bigpond.com. We can also take talkback this evening thanks to our good friends at 2BS. 6334 2524, 6334 2524. Whatever you'd like to talk about in V8 Supercar terms, whack a 02 in front of it if you're outside the Bathurst area. And whatever you want to talk about, Super Cheap Auto 1000. Right now, though, along with Neil Crompton and Brad Jones, we welcome last year's winner, Greg Murphy, ladies and gentlemen. How about a nice round of applause?
Thank you.
How's the weekend been so far?
It's been okay. I mean, we've been battling away, and I just can't believe how fast things are out there at the moment. It's blowing me away this weekend. I've totally stuffed up another prediction. Everyone asked me, well, what do you think it's going to be like this weekend? I said, listen, I think probably high 7s and a lot of 8s, and that all went out the window this morning severely. So I'm going to just completely and utterly not respond to anyone's question about what I think is going to happen.
I was hoping it'd be 9s and 10s.
It might be, mate, if it's wet.
Let's hope so, yeah.
I said to Scothy just before you came in, Greg, that it's unbelievably quick right off the bat. I mean, the very first session, Craig nailed an 8-1 by the end of the session. And by comparison to the very first session last year, Mark Scope was quick as a 9-5.
9-5.
So, I mean, that's massive speed growth.
It surprised me because I really thought that the circuit was going to probably go back another level after last year because it had sort of followed that trend a little bit, and then to behold, it's a lot faster. So I don't know if that comes down to, obviously there's a lot of grip, but if it comes down to the diff ratio helping a lot or not, I'm not really sure.
We took the chance to talk to both Todd and Mark about the new diff ratio. What are your thoughts on that? Has it made a big impact? Has it been...
Well, that's the thing. I'm not really too sure. We haven't done a lot of overlaying from last year or anything like that, but which would probably show a little bit. But I think it's good in a lot of places. I think it's improved and made a little bit better. You know, we're not on the limiter and really anywhere. Well, I'm not anywhere.
I mean,
one
of
you
the
last year. The straight?
No.
Several people are. We've already detected
I'm
it, but you're not. On the way up the hill now, on the way up Mountain Straight, you don't have to go to 6th gear, so you can actually hold...
And a lot of people didn't anyway.
A lot of people didn't anyway, that's right. But that is something of an advantage, isn't it? Because you don't go through the gear step and then have to... I mean, you're going outside the ideal torque and rev range of the engine.
And then I think out of Turn 2, out of Griffin's Bend, it's a little bit doughier up to the top. But then across the top of the mountain, once to Skyline, you're not banging on the limiter there like you used to, and then into Forest Elbow, it's not as bad as it used to be either.
$10,000 for pole. If somebody can knock off your time set a couple of years ago, which was a 2 minute 6.8, you get another $10,000.
Yeah, it's looking a bit close, isn't it?
It's bloody Lowndes is close, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on fire. Yeah, that car looks fantastic.
7-1 was a pretty impressive time, and Mark talked just a moment ago about the fact that very difficult in the early part of qualifying today to dial back down to those times, given the varying track conditions. It seemed to come easier in the early part of the weekend, but it was more difficult later on.
Yeah, I mean, I was battling around there at the beginning of the session, and obviously trying to get a time and to make, just in case it rained, probably like everybody else. And I kept looking at every time I crossed the line and seeing the time on there, and I was like, it can't be right. It felt like I was trying so much harder, and the time just wasn't there. And I said to the guys, I'm pushing, but it's just not coming. And finally, the time started to fall down.
Hey, what's going on in the paddock here? Sorry for one quick second.
You fire away, Rusty.
You, Ken McConville, and Craig Lowndes have all got a croaky voice. You've been hanging out at a rock concert or something. What's going on?
I wish I had been hanging out at a rock concert. I mean,
you're all right? Or?
No, I've got the flu, but and Rick Kelly's not even here
because
he's
been
been in bed all day.
Three of you blokes been doing?
4 now,
Unfortunately, nothing exciting. I think I caught it off my 4-year-old, actually. Thank you very much. 4-year-old.
3 wins just before Bradley eventually gets his word in. 3 wins, is that possible? Or is it going to be a hard task for you this weekend?
You know the answer to that, mate.
It's going to be tough.
Yep, of course it is. I mean, it's going to be
tough
for anybody.
Tough no matter who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough for Craig. It's going to be tough. He's very fast. Obviously, got a very good car, but it's still going to be tough for him. It's not going to be easy. If we had a crystal ball and you could look into it, well, you'd probably realise or work out if it was worth turning up on Sunday morning, but we can't do that. And, it's going to be a great race. There's no doubt about it again. It's just going to be such a fast race, and the competition is just so heavy.
Excuse me, Greg. Bradley would like to ask a question.
He
talks a lot.
I'd forgotten that question twice, but it's okay. I've remembered it.
Yeah.
No, hang on. I've forgotten it again. No. Jesus, do you think that the times at the start of the session the slowness had a lot to do with the fact that there'd been a sprinkling of rain, or do you think it was the fact that things had a pretty big belly of fuel?
I think fuel. I asked the question while I was out there. I said, how many laps we done and how much fuel have we still got on board, because this isn't coming very easy. And
it seems a lot more sensitive to fuel burn off at the moment.
I mean, we considered. Because depending on what the weather was going to do, considered actually starting the session with low fuel and trying to do the time in the first 2 sets of tyres and then park it because you can't put fuel back in the thing. We decided not to do that just in case
was dry for the
struggled a
whole
little bit, or
session.
dry for the whole session. Exactly right. But I wonder if some did do that or not. I'm not too sure. The time did take a while, and I thought maybe that the session was going to be slower than what the practice had been, and that a high 7 was going to be the time. But then that got thrown out the window pretty quickly.
Do we know yet what happened to the sister car, the Nathan Pretty car? What happened with that engine?
I'm not sure. There's some engine.
It's been an
failure of
issue
some
for you
kind.
guys in recent time, hasn't it?
Glad you took notice of that, Rusty. Thank you. Yeah.
He's very sharp.
Yes.
He's one of our sharpest tools. But he's a tool.
He's still a tool.
That's
Should
right.
we do some email? Thanks very much.
That's all right. Yeah, of course we can.
Panelbeaters at bigpond.com. Neil, you keep mentioning at some V8 Supercar rounds about the different differential ratios used for V8 Supercars. And I noticed for the Bathurst round you mentioned a specific ratio. We'll get to that in a second. What are the different diff ratios for V8 Supercar? And I also heard that V8s may top 300k an hour using this diff ratio. Why would this not have been the case last year when they managed 294? Andrew from Victoria. Multi-tiered question.
Multi-tiered question, that one. There are 4 homologated diff ratios for V8 Supercar, 37, 35, 325 and 315 for this weekend now. What was the rest of the question? Can they do 300Ks? Depends on who you talk to and how many decimal points they go to in calculating the circumference of the tyre and whether you believe how much the tyre grows at high speed. But
the fact of it is we need a radar gun down the end of the straight.
It's basically 300Ks. It's 298, 299, 300Ks. I had Ross Holder, an old engineer that you and I know well, calculate the numbers for me, and he says 298. Other people are saying it's bang on 300. Have you blokes done any numbers on it? Or
no, but we know we're near it.
We're not on the limit.
No.
So
I should be so lucky.
And the diff ratios are mandated.
Are you using 5th or 6th?
Oh, I'm changing into 6 of the chase.
Right, good. Yeah. I hate to say, but that could be the problem.
Yeah, it could be.
It's got a nasty misfire too, just before
for a long period of time.
A long period of time.
Bradley's always had a feedback issue. I wonder why. The diff ratios in V8 Supercar are fixed for all competitors at all race meetings and always have been, and the gearbox ratios are as well. So hopefully that answers the question for Andrew.
Brilliant effort by Steve Owen today. That's someone we probably haven't spoken about. The Brightex squad, 14th fastest in the
very good.
Fujitsu Falcon. That's an excellent. And he was good here last year in the Kmart.
That's right. He was very fast here last year.
He's a good operator.
I didn't see the sheets, but that is a good effort. It's the best qualifying for them all year.
I think Phil's just started working there. Phil Curtis. Yeah, which I would say would have a fair bit to do with...
you got his phone number?
You should actually get him back, I think.
Yeah. I'll be wrestling him to the ground out the front later on.
Yeah, we should actually probably rattle through a few more of those because it's not just a question of the top 10. Let's go and look beyond Glenn Seaton and Jimmy Richards in the top 10. It's Cam McConville 11th, and then Jason Bright, Greg Ritter, then Steve Owen behind him, Stevie Johnson, Steve Ellery, Jason Barguana, who had a shunt today up at turn 2. Got a little bit out of shape there and outbraked himself. Max Wilson is next, then David Bernard, the Morrison Radisich car, and incidentally, Paul Radisich has a birthday this weekend, together with Todd Kelly. We forgot to wish Todd a happy, 26 or something?
Sure,
and the Rat's 43. The Rat's 43, is he? Mark Noski next in the HSV dealer team entry, then Alain Menu, Davison Simonson entry, Anthony Tratt, D'Alberto, JB and Bradley were next, then Alan Gurr, Lee Holdsworth. Don't moan and groan. You're on national web, radio, television. Just be positive.
Yes. Yes, Uncle Neil.
Then Mark Porter, Christian DeGostin, then Fernandez, Kelly and Marshall. And the Marshall Tagliani entry was excluded for missing the scales in qualifying there.
Now, there has been some incidents this weekend. That's probably something we haven't discussed so far, and one of them affected one of the cars in your team involving Dale Breed. What transpired in the first practice session there?
I clipped the wall at the cutting. Sorry, Forest Elbow. I thought it was a cutting when I looked at it on television, to tell you the truth, but he clipped the wall on the inside, where it sticks out to a point, broke the suspension and shot across. He's turned his phone off. Shot across the road and shortened the car up by about 1.5 feet.
Now they fixed it and they
the
just made it for
guys
qualifying.
did a fantastic job, along with the guys in our team. Worked all night. And
you would have been there all night working with them?
I was there, yeah. Well, I am a spray painter by trade, so I was, weld that there, move that across there. No, I went home.
Yeah.
But I was there with them in spirit.
Yeah, I'm sure. First time you closed your eyes, bang, gone.
Yeah, I was thinking about it a lot last night. So they did a fantastic job to get the car back, and wheel lined really well, and it was good.
We have a special guest in the audience, and he's driving that car, John Clellan. We might try and talk to him a little later on in the show.
Let's try not to, shall we?
Let's try not to.
You'd need subtitles.
The other incidents that we should speak
He's
about...
eating pies, don't worry.
And he's just given us a very naughty sign, which he shouldn't have done. In fact, he might be able to help us answer this question from Brian, one of the early emails tonight. Can he tell us what channel the race will be on in the UK?
Motors TV.
Motors TV. Motors TV.
They turn it around pretty quick too, I'm told. So,
Is it live? No.
on at 10 o'clock at night in the UK if you're listening to us or watching us in the UK at the moment.
Quite a huge international contingent here in TV terms this weekend too. The French are here. There's TVNZ, so big deal.
Yeah, that's two, Rusty. Who else?
Nice.
We got our friends from Guam here, and we got some. I spotted 7 Chinese in the pits as well today. That's great, and one from Bahrain.
Do they get it in Albury?
Of course, they get it in Albury. Big hello to everybody in Albury.
Now, there's more to Greg Murphy than just endless Bathurst
Oh, there's
wins.
a lot more.
Much more to Greg Murphy than endless
I like
Bathurst
white
wins.
jelly
And
beans.
just in the recent past, as a diversion from motor racing, you've been doing your helicopter pilot's theory, and I understand you passed your exam the other day.
Yeah, I must have cheated.
Spelt your name right?
Yeah, I've
Figured out your address and phone number?
That was great.
Yeah?
It's,
Did you get that pilot that took you in the jet? Did he go and sit for the test and pretend he was you?
No, I wish. Rick Kelly and I have been doing doing a bit of helicopter stuff, and it's a lot of fun.
There's a few of you in the paddock that are into it. But Paul Dumbrell and Larry, obviously, and
I've been flying helicopter.
have you?
Yeah, I
it's
bought
about
in
that-
China.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
big.
Go for a ride with it.
Man, it's hard to hover.
I've heard it's not that successful
Well,
lately.
I've broken it. Don't get in a real one with me because I don't think it'd be pretty.
Yes, if I get in a real one.
It spends a bit of time on its side, but it's okay.
No, the flying's been good, Neil. The flying's been fantastic, and I had the absolute. Someone keeps ringing me. I don't know who it is. Probably someone standing out there.
It's not like it's live.
Great opportunity to go up with the RAF the other week.
Yeah, you went up at Williamtown, north of
Yeah.
Sydney. You went for a run in, what was it, a Black Hawk, did you say? Or whatever they call it? What?
No, it was a Hawk.
A Hawk, that's right.
Trained,
Sorry.
yeah, and that was just sensational.
And then when I turned up at Bathurst the other day, you were blasting around in the sky again in a Strike Master out there.
Yes, I was, and there was a lot of cheesy Top Gun music and quotes being said about that as well.
That sounds very much like
What was
you.
the last one?
Just at Bathurst on
Oh, where
on
they have
Wednesday.
those two.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We've got some more email here. Murray is asking us whether we can shed some light on why the drivers have the sticker codes on their helmets, A, B, C, D, and so on. It's so that the
IQ.
lap scorers can... It's not their IQ, Bradley.
Oh.
That's very rough. It's so the lap scorers and the timing people know precisely who's in the car.
I've got a D on mine.
And you can...
That's what you
We
got
rate
at
'em.
school as well. I
Yeah,
reckon,
that's right.
Lots of D's.
So that's the reason that's there, Murray, so that we can work out who's in the car for timing purposes and regulatory purposes. So
I
that
must leave.
You must leave. You're a busy man.
Yes, I am.
You've
I
got
have functions
helicopters to fly and
I wish.
functions. What have you put your hand in the cement and all that sort of stuff?
Done
and had your photo taken
Done
and
that.
you've done all that stuff?
Yep.
Champion you.
You might get to do that one. No, you won't. So.
Would you please thank Greg Murphy from Super Cheap Auto Racing?
Do the battery change.
Yeah. And look, thanks, Murph. Good on you. And as smooth as their driver change will be on Sunday, in slides Paul Wheel and gets a microphone on quicker than a hands device. Welcome to the program, Paul. Round of applause for his teammate, Paul Wheel.
Thank you very much, mate.
And you were out at Bathurst Airport doing cheesy Top Gun music and having your photo taken as well.
I was too, and nearly passing out actually in the plane.
Was it good?
It was great.
Did you throw up?
No, I didn't throw up. We pulled 6 Gs, so
Wow.
Yeah.
only time I ever pull 6 Gs is when I crash pretty hard. So that's the most I've ever seen.
I've seen Bradley do 6 Gs when he
Be
goes over the top
careful.
of the mountain going fast. He goes, gee!
Yeah, and I rattle them off 6 really quickly.
Yeah.
That was great, Neil. Really well done.
That
Yeah.
pause was brought to you by these professional broadcasters up here.
What's the
We've got
weekend
another
been
one
like?
here from Jim Brady. What was that, Gregory?
Just go get the email out.
And it's an interesting one. It's a slightly negative remark here, and he says that he feels that, like Formula One races, some of the V8 Supercar races are rather processional. If the category was to reduce the downforce, would that improve the racing? And I can probably answer that question. I don't believe, first of all, that we've got very much in the way of downforce on the cars, but one of the things that we do have is parity racing. So both the Holden, the Ford, and the top teams are all very close. So by definition, when cars are close, you don't get a lot of passing sometimes because the cars and the drivers are very close. And it's actually a challenge for Tiga and Avesco and the category generally to come up with ways of spicing it up. But I think, frankly, when you look at the number of people who've had round wins, race wins,
Just the variety.
shootouts and qualifying success this year, we've had tremendous variety.
It's been fantastic.
I think the biggest thing that we could probably fix in the thing to make it more interesting is probably the point system, and that's where it needs to be fixed. I think we've got everything right now with how good the cars are. You know, how many Fords have won
Do you agree with that?
this year, and
Yeah.
how many Holdens have won, and the different drivers.
Do you agree with that?
With the point score? It's a very difficult answer. Difficult question to answer.
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah, easy for me to say. Okay, I'll get you for that later on. I don't know what the answer is. Yeah, you can say that. I don't. Okay. Let me try this again. Shush, be quiet, Neil. Be quiet. Steve?
That won't make it in the highlights tape.
If you make it so there's more points towards the top end, so the winner gets more points, if you have a runaway leader like Marcus has been the last year or two, then he's going to win the series very early, so it makes it like Formula One. If you keep it the way it is, no one finds out who the winner is until the end, but it becomes a bit of an economy run. So it's very difficult to know what's the best point score system because you want to keep it interesting to fans. They don't want to come to the races 3 events from the end and go, well, there's Marcus Ambrose, he won that 3 events ago. So it's very difficult to answer that question. In some ways, yeah, it'd spice it up a bit because they might be fighting harder for a win. But the truth of the matter is, I don't think one driver out there gets to a point and goes, you know what, there's only 3 points difference between first and second. I think I'm going to back off a bit and let the other guy win. Maybe you do when you're right at the pointy end every now and again, you're dicing for the championship. But I'm just not sure what the answer is with the point score. And they do change it around a bit, and everyone's very critical of it. I just don't have the right answer.
I agree with you totally. It's a hard system to try to come up with something new. But when you got a guy like Craig Lowndes who's won the majority of the races, which I think he's won 3 out of
3 rounds.
3 rounds out of everyone, where Marcus has won 1 or 2. Merce won 1, Russell's won 1, and all that sort of thing,
Well, they're interesting stats to look at in terms of... I'll just take a moment to go through this because I think it is very interesting. We've had 10 qualifying rounds after today.
Oh, now it's interesting.
Of course it is, because I'm saying it rather than you.
Yeah.
So Marcus Ambrose has been on top of
too.
the charts 4 times after qualifying. Mark Scaife's been on top 4 times, Stevie Richards once, and Craig Lowndes once. In terms of pole positions, that is the shootout, Lowndes 3, Ambrose 2, Scaife 2, Rick Kelly 1, Tander 1. Race wins, Todd Kelly 4, so Todd's actually the top of the pop chart there. Then Marcus, Craig and Greg 3 apiece. Russell Ingall, Stephen Richards, Mark Scaife 2 apiece, and then Garth Tander 1. And round wins, it's Lowndes 3, Kelly 2, Ambrose 1. There is great variety in there.
And I think to do what some people would like to see, which is really reward winners, you're going to have to shorten up the point score, so it's only going to be able to pay down to 10 or 12 or something, so you can get a huge gap between each position to get those points, so the winner gets rewarded, as some people think he should be. It's a very difficult one to have the answer to, but what's interesting is they're sort of hunting in packs a bit. I mean, we've got a Ford Holden Ford, but after that we've got 4 Commodores, 2 Fords, a couple more Commodores, and then a pile of Fords. So I think it's close to get back to the email. It is pretty close racing, and we do have a parity formula.
Right now, 6334. I thought you were going to say something.
633-2524
is the number. We want you to be a part of the show. 6334-2524. After the break, the Who Am I? We'll play that and have a little bit of fun. We want to talk about a whole heap of other things as well with our studio audience, some giveaways to happen. You are watching the Panel Beaters live right around the mountain as we gear up for the Super Cheap Auto 1000. More in a moment.
Welcome back to Mount Panorama. We are broadcasting the Panel Beaters live from the Big Pond Hospitality Suite here for round 10 of the championship. Someone's opened Bradley's wallet because the bogon moths have leapt out everywhere. And we've got some special guests joining us in a moment who I will introduce in just a tick. But before I do that, I want to talk about Big Pond, because for many of you listening to us on 2BS or watching around the mountain, this may be the first encounter with Panel Beaters, and I'm sure you're riveted. Come on. On Big Pond, of course, there's so many wonderful features. So if you're not familiar with some of the things that we offer each and every V8 Supercar fan at each event, we should run through some of those now. Live timing, which is fantastic because it's something that we're not able to do in terms of the television coverage, but you can sit there and look at every single competitor, every lap time, all the margins and what have you. A vast array of onboard cameras, driver interviews and team profiles, live telemetry from the cars. This wonderful program, every time it corresponds with each of the V8 Supercar rounds. And incidentally, just on the subject of Big Pond, tickets are now available for the grand finale breakfast at the Crown because Big Pond are the sponsor of the grand final round this year at Phillip Island.
Tell you one of the features I quite like, the video clips. You can get in there, they've got...
You can go in there and look at you.
Well, no, that's not a good thing to look at.
Rusty spends a lot of time doing them.
You would, yeah. There's 300 of them in there.
Yeah,
they've got a V8 library, everything from Lowndes' classic role at Calder Park.
great.
Murphy's groundbreaking lap here at the mountain. You can watch that back all through v8supercar.com.au.
You interviewing Craig Lowndes?
Yeah.
You interviewing Mark Scaife? What else have you seen?
What more could you ask for?
And it's appropriate now that we've mentioned
Now that
him
Bradley's just blown it.
he's completely
come
blown
on.
it. To welcome to the program the fastest man yesterday and today, Craig the Knife, Craig Lowndes.
I'm very disappointed. I'm very, very disappointed.
What?
I wanted to do
Oh,
that.
sorry, I couldn't help
Oh,
it.
I can't believe
We
it.
get emails about that.
I have people come up to me in the pit lane and say, "Hey, Craig the Knife, how's things going with him?" I went, "Oh, you know what he does to his teammates."
That's right. That's right.
And he'll never be on the show again.
Yeah.
That's right. Just look at him. Anyway, we won't go there. How are you, mate?
Not bad, actually. There's two here.
What was all
What's
that
with the
again?
voice?
Yeah,
What's with the voice? I lost it 2 days ago.
Gee, everyone that's quick doesn't have a voice.
Everyone
You know
that's
what?
quick is sick.
I'm going to
really?
go out on the... Oh, no, I was going to say alcohol tonight. You get absolutely blotto and be coming in tomorrow going, "Hello, there you going?" That'll fix everything.
Sorted. Is this because of your training regime? Have you been training your backside up up in wherever you live up there in Queensland?
Sounds good, but no.
No?
No, basically, I got to Sydney on Tuesday and lost my voice on Wednesday and haven't got it back. Well, it's actually slowly coming back. It's actually today's the best day I've had.
Yeah, you sound great.
Yeah.
I think so.
The boys love it. I can't sing to them. Can't tell them off.
You
Yeah.
really sound fantastic. You
Yeah.
have done a great job yesterday and today, an outstanding time today, a 2 minute 7.1, kind of getting very close to that magic number that Greg Murphy achieved a couple of years ago. But there was one moment today where we happened to catch you following, I think, Cameron McConville in Gary Rogers' car. He went through the sand trap over the top, and I reckon you went as near as you want to go to meeting Mr. Concrete up there at a very high rate of knots, but you managed to save the day. I bet certain things were puckered up at that point.
The window's fogged up, and it wasn't because it was raining. So we actually got to the top of the mountain at Skyline, and our I guess telemetry was showing we're on a good lap, and we wanted to try and beat the rain. And as I dropped up over Skyline, there was all this debris. Can't swear.
Yeah.
Gravel.
Debris was all over the track, and I managed to slide into the dipper. So we managed to still do I think a 2 minute 8 lap, so it wasn't too bad. But the car's pretty good. We've been very fortunate that when we've rolled it out, it's been 90% right.
Now, Paul Wheel will have to leave us very shortly, but we've got some email here. I want to fire this in because it relates actually to all three of you. Ronnie from Melbourne has emailed. My question is... Ronnie Belcastro.
Right. Yeah.
My question is that if an organisation such as Stone Brothers or Perkins Engineering has multiple engine supply deals to various race teams, could this give them an unfair advantage, as I believe this would greatly increase their development times? Now, you get engines from Perkins Engineering at Super Cheap Auto. Craig at 888 now has...
Actually, can I just add on that? They're going great too, those engines.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Stone Brothers engines in the 888 cars, and now, in the last 24 hours, there's been an announcement that your cars will run Stone Brothers engines next year.
Correct.
I didn't know about that one.
Breaking news.
Yeah,
Groundbreaking news.
When you wander around without a voice, those sort of things happen to you.
And you know what, Rusty? Next Stone Brothers will be actually supplying all the shells and all the components for all
I'd
the
happily
Fords
have one of
too,
their
mate.
cars. let
So
me
is
tell
Ronnie's
you.
question
Yeah.
valid?
I
Is it-
actually like ours.
You like yours?
Yeah,
I
I
like
like
yours too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want
Is
to swap?
Will those teams that have those multiple, engine supply deals, will they have an unfair advantage
The
or not?
serious answer to your question is probably the one Paul's going to give you right now, which is
Well, I really don't think so. I think it's I think it's better for the sport that one person is supplying something to a team and multiple teams where it's cost effective. It's better for our team to go and see Larry Perkins and buy engines off him, and not really at the moment, but also better for 888 to go and buy engines off the Stones. It's cheaper. It works out cheaper. It's better. It's more development for the whole group of teams that they supply, and I don't think it's actually a huge advantage. I think it's more of a level playing field for those people.
what really happens is they don't get a huge edge up at race meetings. They don't get an increase in development time at the racetrack per se. But what they do is they get enough money that they can do more development because instead of having every team going off trying to find the next widget to make the car go fast, they've got the budget of 3 all focused on in the one operation heading in the right direction.
What
and
is
that's,
a widget?
That's a widget. That's a name you made up, if I remember correctly.
How many people in our audience are good at composing music, writing lyrics, or indeed singing?
Oh, here's one.
Yeah.
He can do all three.
This will be good. The
This'll be
reason I
good.
ask this, and this is particularly aimed at fans of Craig Lowndes and those who are members of his fan club, Lowndes Force.
Yes.
Give it a quick plug.
Thank you.
He's seeking members to write a theme song. Do you want to explain that?
Well, what we've done is we thought we'd try something different.
You going to sing it? Because I'll join if you do.
Oh, yeah. Can I get that in
I'd
writing?
probably stand next to you while you're singing it. I want to get as close as I can.
Yeah. You'd be like the little tambourine person in the
that's
background.
right. Yeah. Well, I'm in rhythm. I've got the beat going.
Yeah, you'd be like one of those crook Japanese subtitle movies where your lips are out of sync with the words all the time, though, won't you?
Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
So tell us more, CL.
Well, so what we've done on our through our website, we've put a competition on that's someone to come up with a theme song. There's a lot of football teams have got them, and we thought we'd try and get one, and hopefully tomorrow we can have a look at one and choose one. And what we've done is the winner actually gets a ride in the race car.
I got a great idea. Rather than a song, how about a chant? You know, just someone screaming something out.
Let's do that now.
Oh, right. That's
For you, wah. Oh, sorry.
You are... Hey, let's get our hands together for Paul Wheel from Super Cheap Auto Racing. Thanks, mate.
No problem.
It's a busy weekend for these guys. We really appreciate the fact they've taken time to come and join us. Very shortly, Craig, your teammate Ivan Muller is going to come and join us. Now, he did an outstanding job at Sandown several weeks ago in wet, greasy conditions, and you guys bagged a win. You've been the top man in each of the sessions so far, so you certainly come into this race looking extremely strong.
Well, we do. Besides bagging the win, I think a lot of journos actually bagged him for the combination that we come up with, because Ivan doesn't drive V8 Supercars full time, but he does drive in the BTCC, and he's a terrific guy, and he's very talented. And he did a terrific job in the middle part of Sandown to actually catch and pass Scafie, keep him behind him, especially when it was wet.
You're not his manager or PR agent, are you?
Yeah, you sound a bit like it.
He's good, isn't he?
But you know what? He's got a much nicer accent than you, CL, and his voice is working better. Would you please welcome to our panel tonight, Mr. Ivan Muller. First of all, Ivan, congratulations on your performance at Sandown. That was outstanding, and a win, I think your very first win in a V8 Supercar. We should point out that he contests the British Touring Car Championship in a GM program over there. You've been doing very well. Have you been back to Europe since Sandown, or have you been camped in Australia the whole time?
Yeah, I did, because I did 2 races since Sandown, and now the championship is over since last weekend.
And are you looking forward to running around the mountain again? You've been here 3 times before from memory.
Yeah, I've been here in 2000, 2002 and 2004. Unfortunately, I didn't make many laps except the first year, but that was on the wet. And the second time I didn't make any laps on the race because the engine blew up before I went in a car, and last year.
Now, what we should do...
You're right,
Sandra,
he has got a nice accent.
He has got a nice accent.
Not
it's
a
better
chick.
than yours.
Really, isn't it?
Pity he's not a chick.
Yeah.
Sandra or Deanne, we should check him for a Big Pond shirt, because invariably all Craig Lowndes' teammates get barrelled out of motor racing.
Yeah,
so
he doesn't know it yet, does he, Craig
He
the
doesn't
Knife?
doesn't know anything about Craig the Knife, so you'll be presenting this program in a year or 2 from now.
No, he's not my teammate yet.
He's wondering what we're talking about. This racetrack, compared to many of those racetracks that you've contested around the world, how does it shape up?
Oh, it's a very demanding circuit because, especially with these cars and with low experience like I have, it's pretty hard to go quick without doing mistake. For example, at Sandown, if you can try your limit, and in case you go too far, okay, you go in the grass and you join the track back. Here you can't. You go immediately in the wall, and so that's why it's quite difficult.
You did a remarkable job at Sandown in that wet part, that middle stint that you did in the race, and we talked about it at the time on Network 10. You have a background in ice racing as well, and I'm sure the people here at Bathurst and with us in the Big Pond Suite would like to know more about that. Tell us about it.
Yeah, on the winter since 10 years, there is a championship in France with 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel steer, and it's prototype car. We have 450 horsepower, and I do that every winter and on ice.
Did it help in the wet conditions?
And he wins a championship almost every year, don't
I win 9 times.
He's also an international racer of great experience, and he's raced with different drivers. In fact, some very famous drivers all around the world.
Like you.
Some
You could see that coming.
and he's had some of the best co-drivers you could ever wish for. In fact,
Yeah, that went over really well.
No, I haven't finished. He did a 24-hour race at Spa in a Volkswagen Golf.
Yes.
Who was your teammate there? You've actually
I was lucky to be with Tamara Vidali.
and me.
Oh, you can't help bad luck.
So we share a common bond.
I think Brad has a nice story to say about this race.
Yes, go on. Yes, come on.
Oh, it was.
Something
No,
about
I can't do that stuff. Sorry, no.
Come on,
I can't.
Come on.
Go on,
Well,
just
no,
clean
no,
it up.
I can't. I need to go to the toilet really badly, and it was a very difficult situation. And being a male, I couldn't do two things at once. Unfortunately for me, a pace car came out, and I got out of the car. It's not a really interesting story, is it?
That completely confused everybody.
So how many laps did it take before you
A
got
weed
back
in the seat is what he's getting at. Yeah.
Which answers that question that sometimes bobs up in the email of what do you need to do.
And then he got in the car next.
The problem I was the next one.
So you can be
It's
sure of
all
one
yours.
thing: Yvonne Muller will never forget Brad Jones.
You have to imagine the situation. 3 o'clock in the morning, I jump in the car and
Wow,
it
he
was
sweats a lot.
wet and warm.
No!
I couldn't believe, and on the same moment it was some fluid, of course, on the floor of the car, and we had a clutch problem, and the mechanic thought it was a fluid problem, so he touched with his finger and he
And I can tell you something else. Urine doesn't smell very nice when it's drying. It was very, very off-putting.
It's been great working with you all. Yeah. In these dying moments of the program, we hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll be seeing you 20
I was trying
years
to
from
keep
now.
that a secret.
Panel beaters at bigpond.com. Let's move forward, not backward. 6334-2524 if you'd like to make a call. 6334-2524. Wherever you are, right around the mountain, you can phone in. Brad Jones is here. Craig Lowndes, of course, and Yvonne Muller. Craig and Yvonne winning the recent Sandown 500, doing a brilliant job as we prepare for the Super Cheap Auto 1000. We should also talk about the Who Am I? This is for our studio audience here as well.
Getting a bit hot in here.
Is
Is
it
it just me?
You're right.
Come on, yeah.
I'll give away 2 clues here. We've got some Big Pond prize packs to give away. I was born in Sydney on the 20th of May 1981. Here's one for the girls too. I recently became engaged. Now, this is a motor racing related question.
I know
Who
it is.
am I? Okay, so if you think you know, we've got a Big Pond prize pack. Maybe give us a call, 6334
Are you taking answers now?
2524.
Or are you going to go out of the audience?
Shortly?
You're going to have
Or
a
we
think
have
about
one
it?
down the front here. We might...
What you should do is fire the question, and then we'll get organised and get you
So
down.
if there's
after the break,
if
I'll
there's
come
anyone
down.
drunk at the top of the mountain, if you'd like to come on down and answer the question, don't take no for an answer out of the front. We'll give you a mouse mat.
While we're talking...
You'll need one of them at the top of the mountain.
While we're talking emails, panelbeaters at bigpond.com. This is out of control. Neil, have you seen the Tiga data confirming that Stephen Richards hit 300 k's an hour down Conrod Straight? Cheers, Krusty. Maybe Krusty from HRT.
It might be. No, I haven't. 'cause I don't
Larry
get- I don't get
Larry
to
is
see-
claiming that they hit
Well, they
the
may well
300.
have. It depends on how you got your OD calibrated in your data
on the limiter?
logger.
I'm on the limiter, but we're not doing over 300 k's.
You must be pretty close to right.
297.
Yeah, it's very close. It's going to theoretically it just depends on how you program the data in your car, but it's
Exactly.
going to be in the high 200s or right
Yeah.
on 300 k's.
It's a bit more frightening through the chase now, or is it not that noticeable?
Brad?
In my car. Well, it is frightening through the chase, Rusty, and it's frightening through turn 1, and it's pretty frightening. I mean, the boys are working really hard. I shouldn't be too hard but on the car.
And yeah, they can hear you down there
Yeah,
too.
that's okay. They know.
Yeah, I'm sure you drilled that home to them. What did you say? Car's really nice, but it needs a little bit of work.
Yeah.
Or words to that effect.
Yeah, in my happiest voice.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just one of those things. We've come here in the last 5 years and been really competitive, and we're all a bit lost to get here and be struggling as badly as we are. So everyone's beavering away trying to get it right. And as John eats sausage rolls up here and drinks plenty of Chardonnay, and I suck on the odd water, the guys are beavering down there flat out trying to make it to a
You need
2 minutes 7.132 tomorrow.
You need to decode a bit of Bradley's speak, don't you?
Yeah.
A little bit of other motor racing news.
What was the original
and
question? It was aimed at him, wasn't it?
Through the chase?
Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, cars,
flat all the way through it?
Oh, yeah. On the limiter. Goes
For very long?
That I can do really well. Yeah, for about probably 2 to 3 seconds.
I got to go now.
Hey, Ivan, the shape of the chase is a very different style of corner to most all around the world in motor racing. Is that a daunting task for you?
It's yeah.
I've actually got a sensible question for Ivan.
Yeah, imagine that.
I know it's hard to believe, isn't it? When it's raining, is that something you look forward to, a wet race circuit, with all your ice racing experience, or do you think that doesn't really count for anything?
No, to be honest, ice racing is completely different because first we have spike and it's four-wheel drive, four-wheel steer. So the only thing can be similar is okay to feel the car when the car is grippy, but here at 300 k's is very different.
Another email here from On The Run, that's the nickname, has, having seen another kangaroo issue today, has this put the teams into action with regards to a plan? What if they make contact with one? Is there measures in place? I mean,
have you got a not only a data acquisition engineer, but have you got a shooter as well? Or?
Yeah, we've got a couple of shooters up the top of the hill.
Spotters and shooters. Yeah.
My wife had all these people come from around the world the other day, and they had a conference in Beechworth, which isn't very far from Albury. Lovely place for holiday, by the way. Yeah, and one of the English said, "We're going to go back to Albury tonight. Should we have much trouble with kangaroos?" And I said, "No. If you get one person to hang out the window and go woo 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 all the way to Albury, you'll have no trouble with the kangaroos at all." I said, "You could get a few bugs on your face and stuff, but."
What on earth was all that about?
Well, I was hoping
that's a shuru, isn't it?
That's a shuru. In fact, you could do that for me on the weekend.
No. I want to talk about something sensible for a moment and just change the tempo of the program, because a couple of weeks ago you came up here for this, Greg. Cameron McConville and your nephew Andrew Jones completed their ride to the mountain from Melbourne, believe it or not, and along the way they raised a lot of money for Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is fantastic. Do you just want to fill us in on that, Thruster?
That was brilliant. They started out at Albert Park on the Friday after the Sandown 500, rode for 10 days, on average just over 100 k's per day through country Victoria, through the ACT, country New South Wales, all the way here to Bathurst, and they finished here about, not last Sunday, the Sunday before, I think. Is that right?
That's correct. Rusty did half a leg.
We rode together, We rode out of Albury toward Wagga.
Yeah, we dragged him along and knocked our average up a bit, but...
big struggle, but we kept with
Cameron had a bit of a shunt, didn't he? He ended up with some skin off by the time.
A little cornflake on the chin here, yes, but no, there was a bit of sunburn, bit of windburn.
You know what, Rusty hooked him with an elbow in the sprint into one of those little towns.
They raised 55 grand for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which was just fantastic, and it finished here on the podium, and they handed over a cheque, and it was tremendous.
It's
very good,
outstanding. Yes, Bradley.
I said to Cam when we were doing the sausage sizzle on Wednesday, what was the hardest part? Because I would have thought it's that climb coming into Bathurst. You get around the corner and you've gone for a kilometre, and then it just keeps on going up. And he said it was a toss-up between that and doing the lap of Bathurst at the end. He said when they got up to XL...
It's hard, yeah. I've tried to ride a bike around here.
He's trying to get down into a lower gear, and he looked down and he went, "Oh, I'm in the lowest gear."
It's actually a good point, because most people that have never been to the mountain before, who come up here and have a drive in a road car or take a walk around the circuit, are in fact surprised by the undulations. It is a very steep bit of road, and in fact I was standing up towards turn 1 yesterday just watching that first practice session. You don't even realise that it's quite substantially uphill even on the run to turn 1.
Yeah, for sure. It's quite amazing, and we can't realize until we are walking or driving on the track.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for taking time to come and spend a moment or two with us tonight.
Can I answer that question you had about before? You know, I was born in Sydney, 1982.
No, you can't. No, you can't. You are not capable of winning the prize. It's been great seeing you. Thank you.
I reckon it might be...
I love an assertive male.
No, it might be Russell Ingall.
No. 81.
Yeah, no, he's only 24, isn't he?
No, yeah, he'll tell you. His age goes back.
It's 81, not 51.
Ivan Muller, Craig Lowndes, thank you very much. Best of luck this weekend. Round of applause for the boys from 888 Race Engineering, the better electrical entry. They've been very quick, and I'm sure they're going to be very effective. We'll be back right after this break.
And broadcasting live here at the Big Pond Suite at Mount Panorama Bathurst, gearing up for the Super Cheap Auto 1000. A big hello to all of you watching on the big screens right around the mountain, and to our listeners on 2BS in Bathurst. We've got a number of special guests. We're changing the baton a fair bit here this evening, but John Cleland is with us, former British touring car champion, but it's been a difficult start to the weekend for you so far. Dale Breed having an off at Forest Elbow as the boys throw things at me. We've got other special guests, so you can get to that in a second,
he
Bradley.
threw it, not me. He's trying to get Clellan.
Gee.
His ex-boss, he's tearing him up.
Once I get the microphone, I'll tear him up even worse.
Derek Warwick and Dick Johnson are also on the panel. We'll get to them very shortly. Is the car better now? A lot of work by the repair crew overnight.
Oh, the car is better, and I had a theory about a race car's not a really good race car until it's had an accident. Well, I was wrong about that because it's just really not a quick race car at the minute. It's back to the same shape. The TAFE guys had it for, I think, 11 hours last night. They worked all through the night. And then Brad's team spent the rest of the morning trying to put it together. And it's back together. But unfortunately, we're a bit confused. We seem to have lost about 2 seconds over where we were last year at this time. And either we're all getting older or there's something that we're missing, and I'm not really sure what it is at the minute.
You love coming back here, don't you? What is it that appeals to you about coming back to the mountain each year?
The wine's really good.
And the company.
And the women are nice. And it's great apart from Brad and his team, really.
Did you get a chance to test again between Sandown and here?
What, the wine or what?
Yeah, the wine.
No, I left. The first time I'd driven a car all year was when I got back to Sandown. I hadn't driven a race car since Bathurst last year. So Sandown was a bit of a warm-up. And it wasn't that bad. The car was pretty good. And I was really expecting big things here. But in 2001, when I first came over with Brad, we started 21st on the grid and we came second in the race. We were a second and a half off Scafie at the end. So there's a lot of things can be done from 21st. It's a long race. It's 6.5 hours. It's 161 laps. We just got to be smart. But we could do with working all night trying to find out where we're going to find 2.5 seconds.
Final one. What's going on with the goatee?
I've lost my razor. It was somewhere in my case. I'm actually trying to prove that when I grow it, that it's not grey, because people think, particularly Derek Warwick, who is grey, he thinks that I always dyed my hair. So either I take my trousers down and show him my pube, or what I do is I grow a little beard to prove that it's not grey.
John Cleland, ladies and gentlemen, how about a nice round of applause? Thank you, mate. And as we take you back to Neil and Brad Jones, we've got some other crazy people up there on the panel, Neil.
We have indeed. It's my pleasure to welcome two very special guests up here. Would you keep that applause going for former Formula One driver and co-owner of the 888 Race Engineering outfit? Welcome, Derek Warwick.
Thank you.
And a bloke who's been round here once or twice, won a couple of races here and there, and 25 years ago clobbered a rock of all things, which created a bit of a furore. Welcome, Dick Johnson.
Thanks, Carl.
First of all, to you, Dick, I looked at the press release that came out from your guys during the week and went, 25 years? You've got to be kidding. That's gone pretty quick, hasn't it?
Well, actually, I think we've both got 25 years older in that period of time.
Indeed.
But at the end of the day, I don't believe that it feels like 25 years. It's been an amazing journey from there to here, and at this point in time, I think it's about time I reinstated that. No more rocks, but we'll find another way of doing it.
Yeah, but it was an amazing episode without dwelling on it for too long, though, wasn't it? I mean, you had a fast car, you're on target for what could have been a good result. There was the shunt, it triggered an emotional reaction from yourself, from the Australian audience, money matched by Edsel Ford. It gave you the dough to come back the next year, and I think you won the championship in the race and all that stuff. It was a fairy tale.
It was a bit of a fairy tale, but at the end of the day, it was up to the people of Australia and overseas too, because even at that point in time, the telecast did go overseas, and there was a lot of people here on holidays that had sort of learned about Bathurst, and they came out here, and I still have all those letters sitting at our workshop, believe it or not, and it's quite inspiring to read a lot of those letters from some of the young kids, which now, obviously, 25 years on, have grown up somewhat since then, and still to this day come and talk to you, which is really good.
It's fantastic, and you'd be pretty pumped up, I would imagine, by the outcome of the performance of all the boys this weekend. Dean Cando's on fire. He's done well in the HPDC car. We've seen Glenn doing very well, and Stephen probably not as happy as he wanted to be in qualifying, but he's been there or thereabouts through the weekend, so the West Point cars look very strong.
Well, it's... This race is all about being there in the last 30 laps, and hopefully we're going to be there in the last 30 laps because we can give it a good shake, I think. It's not much use you haven't got car speed, but I think there's a fair chance that we've got a reasonable amount of car speed to be able to do something with it. So And as far as our driver pairings go, I don't think there's too many people would deny the fact that we've got some really good guys in there, and especially young guys like Dean Canto and certainly Will Davison, that I think are more than capable of doing the job. And to do that sort of job is around a place like this is fairly daunting. But I think we've got two great teams and two opportunities.
Derek, you've done a few laps around here yourself. You're here this weekend in a capacity as a part owner of the race team, but you were here in '97, and I think you've done another race here, have you not? Or just the one race? I remember chasing you around one year when we did the Super Touring race here.
With Brocky.
That's right, yeah. It's a
Was
fantastic...
that a race? Was that a race?
I can remember that because I was standing at the top of the mountain with Brock, and I said to him, there he goes, you can't, look at that. Jeez, he's on it down through the... oh, he's rolled it over.
I said, don't be so stupid.
That could make things a little difficult.
I couldn't believe it, Brad, actually, that everyone in the crowd knew each other by their first name.
Now.
Yeah, settle down. You guys have got off to a great start this weekend, Derek. Strong in each of the sessions, and it looks very good.
Well, Craig's really on it here. He's doing a good job. He's got a lot of confidence. The car's going well. We've got good engines, got a good aero package. And I have to say that every time Craig sets in the car, you just know it's going to do the time.
He's a very quick little driver. I just quickly, before we go back to Rusty on the floor, given your Formula One race driving background, quickly want to mention the fact that the second last round of the championships up at Suzuka this weekend. 2 sessions of practice today. The first session was the fastest, and Pedro de la Rosa for McLaren was the quick man from Ricardo Zonta. They're running the third car entries for both McLaren and Toyota. Jenson Button, David Coulthard, Juan Pablo Montoya 5, Alonso 6, Fisichella 7, Takuma Sato, Mark Webber in 9 and Christian Klein. In the second session, it was Zonta, Michael Schumacher, second fastest in the Ferrari on Bridgestone, then De La Rosa, Barrichello, Kimi Raikkonen, who had an engine failure, so some possibility that he'll be starting further down the grid with that crazy rule they have. Rubens Barrichello, Kimi Raikkonen, Ralf Schumacher, Jarno Trulli, Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button, Mark Webber. So Webber's sort of there or thereabouts this weekend. Do you still have any interest or keep up in any way, shape or form with Formula One, or has your world moved on from that now, Derek?
No, not at all. I watch everything. I love Formula One. I watch every practice session. If I'm not there, I record it.
Really?
I've been to a couple of races. Just love it.
There'd still be a lot of people...
No. But a lot of people, when they finish driving, they go, you know what, and they've got a business interest in another part of the sport, they just sort of move on.
Yeah, but I think if you've been in Formula One, if you go to a Formula One race and watch the racing, you just get caught up with the atmosphere. Just the noise, the acceleration, the speed of the car.
Have you had a driver one?
Not recently. I'm going to on Thursday.
What are you going to drive?
One of these Grand Prix Masters cars.
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm down to drive it in the series next year. So I'm driving it at Pembrey.
I hear that pays really well.
Do they?
So I'm told.
Well, I've got to pay for this team somehow.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to see you out there beavering away.
If anybody in the audience would like to fire a question to either Derek or Dick, great opportunity to run up and grab Rusty and fire a question at a couple of legends. Be gentle on them, though. Greg, you've got someone down there with you now.
We certainly have, Neil. We've tracked down Michael Shaw from North Ryde in Sydney. You've got a question for Derek?
Yeah. From a team owner's perspective, what's some of the differences between the British touring cars and the V8 Supercars?
Spectators.
From a team owner's
few hundred horsepower. Yeah. They're just more exciting. When I go and watch touring cars, it's great racing, it's close racing, and it's exciting, but it's not spectacular. When the first time I watched V8s was at Eastern Creek, and to watch 34 cars come down that main straight into that fast left-hand corner, it was just sensational. And the cars just look good on the track. They're fast. They make that noise that sucks us back week after week, and they're just fantastic cars. Whereas a 2-litre, they sound
like sewing machines.
You don't need to be nasty.
I'm not being nasty. I'm just being realistic, I think.
Yeah, sewing machines.
Yeah. Dick's working on being a diplomat in his next career. Thruster, have you got your response there for your Who Am I question? Are you going to get to that, or are we going to do that later?
We'll get to the Who Am I very, very shortly. We want to take some more questions from the floor. I've got one for Derek, actually, while he's here. You talked about the Grand Prix Masters thing a moment ago, but tell us recently about your ride on a MotoGP bike. Some people here might like to hear about that.
Wow.
That was pretty special for you, wasn't it?
Well, an ex-friend of mine...
Ex-friend?
That's
a good start, isn't it?
Could be an ex-rider.
His name was Roland Dane. Bought it for my 50th birthday. A two-seater ride. with Randy Mamola around Donington, and the thing that struck me first of all was I was supposed to have done 3 laps on this bike. So they strapped me on the back of this bike, and as I get onto it, the PR lady comes up to me and said, "You're only going to get 2, we've only got time for 2. So I almost got off it and got all stroppy because I was only going to get 2 laps. But then, when we took off, the front wheel never touched the ground for the first 500 metres. Then he put it down and went through the crane of curves. And all I could think about was, thank Christ, I've only got 2 laps.
I don't know why, because you'd feel pretty safe. You've got all that leather on, haven't you? And that helmet. I mean, and gloves. You'd have to feel... Were you hanging on to him very tight?
I don't want to be thrown like this.
And on that subject, you're going to do that next week at Phillip Island, aren't you?
I can't wait. That is going to be... That's why I asked the question.
What did he take you for a ride on?
It's on a Ducati, a 2-seater Ducati with,
Let me tell you,
with Randy Mamola.
Terrifying.
Is it?
It's the most
Would be at
terrifying
Donington.
thing.
Was it wet?
I got off the bike and I couldn't undo my machine like this. And just I was shaking so much, it was unbelievable.
You might need Velcro on that nappy of yours, mate.
Yes. Could be the last time I'm working on panel beaters. Anyway, let's move along. We've got Lauren with us from Brisbane. You've got a question for Dick Johnson.
I do. It's 25 years since The Rock. Just wondering how that's affected your life, and do you think about it today a lot?
Well,
only when he's on his boat.
Well, without it, I'd quite honestly, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. It's one of those situations that sort of arose, and when you get an opportunity stuck in front of you, you really just don't let it sit there. You do something with it, and because of the people of Australia, and then Edsel Ford at that point in time, who was the Vice President of Ford Australia, and he said, well, for every $1 that the Australian people put in, I'll put in another $1. And unfortunately for Edsel, he probably thought he was up for 3 or 4 grand, but at the end of the day, I think he stuck in about 75 grand, and he said it was the best investment that he's ever made. So for me, it was great. It gave me an opportunity to kickstart a career I've been trying for many, many years, and I'm just pleased that we could go on with it and give people back something that they stuck in.
He's certainly done that, Dick Johnson, hasn't he? We've tracked down Adam. You've got a question for the panel. You've travelled a long way to be here, haven't you?
Mate, Olivia, I actually work for Big Pond, so I'll put a bit of a plug in there if I can. Listen, being the owners of teams, has the increase in the price of petrol put a tighter budget, I guess, on the race this year?
Well...
They're leaning my car out as we speak.
Well, because fuel economy these days is everything, and you probably don't realise that, you know, and I don't want to get too technical here because Crompton's the technical man, but fuel economy in these sort of races means an awful lot, and quite frankly, it can win or lose a race for you. So we are very, very conscious of it, I can assure you, and whoever's got the best fuel economy has obviously got the biggest windows.
Luke from Bathurst is with us, and you've got a question for Dick as well?
Yeah, I was just wondering what your favourite race at Bathurst was and what your favourite model Ford that you've ever driven here is.
Well, obviously, the one that I felt we did best at, there was 2 races. One was where we were fighting with Bradley here in 1994 when a young Craig Lowndes and Bradley were in a Commodore and we were in the Falcon, which was a great motor car. It was really just set up so well, and it's when you get a car that's set up well around this racetrack, you can do amazing things with it. And we had a great car that particular race, and Bradley and I chased each other all day, and then Craig and Bowie got together towards the end of the race, and it became a really good race for us. But the one that sticks in my mind more so than anything else was in 1992 in the Sierra, when it poured down rain. Crompton will remember because he came 3rd, I think it was.
That's right. Yeah, in the GDR.
In the
That's
GDR.
right. Yeah.
And Jim Richards actually won the race when he was hanging off a fence, and that really pissed me off.
Still doing it now. Good to see you're not carrying that around with you.
The therapy is going well.
He really endeared himself to the Australian people, calling everyone arseholes. Yeah.
Kane from Bathurst, what's your question? A technical one.
Just with relation to V8s being a production car, can you see the engine capacities or any other driveline changes in the near future to, I guess, compensate for the current output of, production cars and stuff? Or
will it change? Will we lose the V8
full
formula?
cylinders?
No, nothing like that.
I think Dick can answer that one.
Well, I don't think if it's not broke, don't fix it. But at the end of the day, I think you'll find that we try and move with the times. But when you have a parity formula like we have, I think you've got to really stay with what you've got until such time as it's time to move on. And NASCAR's been around for many, many years. The engines that they use in those cars haven't been produced for many years, so and they're still very successful. But I think we're enduring the good years, so let's keep them going.
I think if anything needs changing, it's possibly the gearbox. I think
you can't even change gears. What's going on? You pommy blokes, I don't know. You get out here.
All over here and 8 pattern. I mean,
hey, well, it's just.
No, I honestly think it should go to a sequential box. It'd be cheaper for the teams, better for the engines. There won't be so many over revs.
Yeah.
And,
there's for and against. Well, I do to a point, but there's for and against, and when you have a category like ours where there's not an awful lot of passing because the cars are so equal, you'll get these guys that get a bit flustered when somebody gets up their date and sort of, pushes them along.
That's a technical term.
Yeah, it's technical, very technical. Well, that's the back end, in case you didn't know, Crompton. But when you get to that point and the guy will get that flustered, he'll miss a gear or something, and okay, well, it gives the guy an opportunity to pass. So there's two sides to every story.
One more, Greg.
Sure have. Elaine is with us, and she's quite a fan of the Panel Beaters program. Thanks for being part of the audience tonight. What's your question?
I have a question for Derek Warwick, who I saw race in my first motorsport event I saw live, which was the Monaco Grand Prix in '84. Just wondering, given what Ayrton Senna did on that day, is there anyone in the current F1 grid that sets that you think is
as good as Ayrton?
As good as Ayrton, or along?
I think with Ayrton, you're talking about something that's very special. He's very special, probably in everybody's minds in this room. Because he had something, there was a mystique about him. There was this religious thing. He was the fastest thing at the time, and I don't think anybody will ever be another Ayrton Senna. But you mustn't take anything away from what Michael Schumacher's done. What is it? 7 World Championships, 84 Grand Prix wins, and you could say that he's always had a favoured teammate. But I'd put him up against anybody on his day. He's one of the quickest guys out there, but unfortunately he's German, and
can be a bit of a cross to bear, can't it?
It's a big hi to everybody watching in Germany tonight.
In fact, Rusty's been walking their crew around the pitch the last couple of days.
I reckon he's a gas, actually.
but he hasn't got the same charisma as a Brazilian, and someone like Ayrton, he was special. Every time he walked into the room, you could feel there was something special coming into the room. And what he did, you say 84, but also 84 at Donington. It was 93 at Donington. It was sensational, absolutely sensational.
On that opening lap down through the Craner curves, just rounding up blokes on the outside.
Yeah.
When Neil and I went over and had a look at that, I didn't realise it was downhill. The way Donington is, it's really steep.
Yeah.
And Neil and I wandered over there, and the first thing that we said to each other was, I can't believe it, how steep this is downhill, and he was passing people around the outside.
Including Michael Schumacher, who was in the field at that point
That's
as well.
right. Yes, he was,
He was much younger, though.
He was much younger, but he was still German. Can't help that, can you? I would like to thank our very special guests, Derek Warwick and Dick Johnson, for joining us tonight. Give them a round of applause. We will take a break on the Panel Beaters, and when we come back, we'll talk more about the Super Cheap Auto 1000. The Super Cheap Auto 1000, we're on the final lap, and we've had a fantastic time so far this evening. We've had a great response here from the studio audience in the Big Pond Sports Suite. A big hello to everyone who is watching on the 8 big screens right around the mountain, and to our audience as well through 2BS here in Bathurst. And to those of you that are emailing at home, watching and listening through Big Pond, we played the Who Am I a little earlier this evening. I gave away 2 clues. I'll tell the rest of the clues, all right?
Good idea, because we're nearly out of time.
We've had a winner. We've had a winner. The
Have
clues were, we've had a winner. I'll get to that. I was born in Sydney on the 20th of May, 1981. I recently became engaged. It's a motorsport-related question.
Imagine that.
I'm a second-generation racer, following in the footsteps of my father, who won 2 Australian Sprint Car Championships. Do you maniacs know the answer to this? Or
I do.
Yeah. Right. Okay, let's move along then. I began my career in karts at the age of 9, and over 10 years won an unprecedented 10 Australian Championships and 19 state championships.
James Courtney.
No.
Mark Winterbottom.
Correct. Finished runner-up in the 2002
to Australian Formula Ford Championship. We have a fantastic Big Pond pack to give away to Danielle from North Ryde. How about a nice round of applause? You got it right. Well done. And also, while we're in the giveaway mode here, I love prizes. I should have. Can I do Sale of the Century
try
one
and
day?
win one day.
Yeah, I should try and
You
win one day.
You got the right head for it.
Yeah, thanks. Terrific for radio. To Casey, to Kane rather, to Luke, and to Elaine, who had some great questions on the floor tonight. We've got some Big Pond packs to give away. So thanks for being a part of the show and taking part. Well done. Now, Crompo. Hello.
And
Who is the special guest we have with us here?
We've got a special guest, a very special guest, a VIP. First of all, it's female. I don't think we've ever had a female guest on the show before, so that's impressive to start with.
You couldn't wait to have a sit in the middle there between the two of you. I got evicted.
Well, I mean, it's not a hard decision.
Yeah,
really.
Exactly.
And our next guest is, in fact, one of the very important people from Big Pond who pay for this program. So, of course, we're going to grease up to them. So please welcome Sandra Davey.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Rusty. Thank you, Bradley.
And you know how you sit in the audience normally and you go, this is wrong with it and that's wrong with it, and why don't you blokes do that? And, well, now's your chance. Straight down the glass, impress the hell out of us.
And talk chick stuff.
No, I'm only kidding. I'm only trying to torture you.
Well, I have to say, it's a bit hard kind of following up from all those supercar drivers, but I guess I've got two things to my advantage. One, I'm female. I'm much better looking. And secondly...
If you do say so.
yeah. Do a bit of self-promotion.
Yeah, good job so far.
Is that a PSP?
It is a PSP, and I'm here to talk about some devices. Particularly the new Sony PSP, but to have a bit of a rave on about what we do at Big Pond, which is not just about the broadband coverage, but really about sending V8 Supercar content out a whole bunch of different delivery mechanisms, whether it's broadband or Sony's new PSP.
People probably think that's just a game console, but it's a heck of a lot more than that. You can actually use it quite successfully to download some...
Water ski with it, ride horses.
Yeah.
And more importantly, you've given them a blatant plug twice, haven't you?
I have.
Have you got me on
there? This is another way to get Neil, which is always good.
Yeah.
Dan, if you can get a close-up. This is quite a cool device.
Oh, she's got the one-on-one thing going with the cameraman now.
Dan.
Dan,
Head and shoulders to me, please, Dan.
Dan, get a close-up of Brad. Come on, Dan.
Come on, Dan. Move, pal.
But this is a brand new device, and Sony have brought it out. They're trying to sell it as more than an entertainment device. Obviously, it's a games device, but we've partnered with Sony to push a whole bunch of V8 Supercar highlights onto this device. So anyone who owns a Sony PSP can get their fix of V8 Supercar highlights. You don't have to be a Big Pond customer. So we're kind of giving it away to the world at the moment to test it out and see what people think and how they like it.
Sandy? You know
Can I have this to try?
You know how we punish Bradley about bad posture and slumping? Can you sit up straight, please?
I did that for years.
You've given them 4 blatant plugs. I reckon we should have one of these each for nothing.
Sandra, I talked earlier about Big Pond's V8 Supercar coverage. In just a serious moment, you've been involved for a little while now. Your customer base is growing, but there are a lot of features that you provide V8 Supercar fans that are unique, and it is a special coverage. I don't think there's anything like this in the world.
Not from what we can find. I mean, we know NASCAR does some awesome coverage with radio, particularly their scanning services. We know Formula One does great live timing. But I think some of the stuff that we've done on Big Pond, particularly the merging of video or live vision from Network 10 and then...
Turn it off.
Yeah, he's getting carried away. Look at me.
Kick it to me. Yeah, I should be doing commercials.
This is my one opportunity.
Don't forget, Dan, close up Sandy.
Yeah.
But
Just hanging on you every word. Do you know where you work?
What? No. What? Telemetry.
Yeah.
It's a pressure environment up here. Don't be interrupted.
It is a pressured environment. So I think one of the nice things we do, or the cool things we do, is to really synchronise in the telemetry and the live timing. So it's a different experience to Channel 10. We know Channel 10 does an awesome coverage. We love what they do. What we're trying to do on Big Pond is tell a different story, and to use some of the features that broadband has that perhaps TV doesn't have. And that's the ability to look a bit more closer at things like live timing, at the telemetry feed, or the car attributes that are coming out of cars like Bradley's.
We've got a couple of buddies who are in the UK that are PR related or in motor racing sort of circles that don't or can't always watch or listen to the program live. But one thing Paul, our mate, has been doing is downloading it onto the iPod, podcasting, which is really cool. Tell us a bit more about that.
This one's good because 6 p.m. Friday night panel beaters. So for those of us who are losers, who can be at home at 6 o'clock on Friday night.
I like to describe them. Hey, goers.
Hardcore fans, 6 o'clock Friday night. It's a difficult time. Most people aren't home from work, or more importantly, they're probably at the pub. So the podcast idea behind...
Not our fans.
The podcast idea behind panel beaters is really to sort of what we call geography and time shift. So get the episode on your portable MP3 player, whether it's your iPod, which I've just bought the trusty green one here.
The Gadget Queen.
It's the Gadget Queen. Listen to panel beaters anytime you want during the course of the weekend.
Get a close-up of that iPod, Dan.
Yeah, let me help. I'll be the girl.
That way we
holds
can all
the
get a free
crap
one
up.
after this.
There you go,
It's
there
like
you
a
go.
show and
You're
tell.
a hand model.
Yeah. You got a phone there as well.
This is, and lastly, this is the new 3G service. So if you can't get it on your PSP, you can't get it on your iPod, you can't get it on broadband, can't get it on Channel 10, you can get it on your phone. This is Telstra's new 3G network, brand new network. We know Hutch has had a 3 network for a while, but we're pushing Supercar highlights out that phone or the network as well. These ones come in short form, 2 minutes, a little bit of Neil, a little bit of you.
Which is about as much as you can take normally.
Minimise that.
Thanks for dropping by and giving us a bit of a techno update.
My pleasure.
We've only got a couple of minutes left in the program. There's, as always, a gazillion emails that have backed up that we've not had a chance to deal with. But one of the things I do want to do is just reiterate, if you've only just joined the program in the last half hour, 45 minutes, of precisely where we sit going into this motor race this weekend. 3 practice sessions down, qualifying ticked off. Craig Lowndes is the fastest man, 888 Race Engineering, from Mark Scaife, Marcus Ambrose, Garth Tander, Greg Murphy, Stephen Richards, Jason Richards, Russell Ingall, Glenn Seaton and Jimmy Richards. A couple of incidents through the weekend so far. Thruster, we had Russell Ingall in the wall up at Forest Elbow. Your teammate Dale Breed had some damage done up there as well. Several blokes we've talked about tonight, including Craig Lowndes with colds. Rick Kelly has a cold. Paul Radisich and Todd Kelly have birthdays. Dick celebrates 25 years since hitting the rock. There's a lot going on out there. 78 points is the margin between first and second in this championship. No team orders between the 2 Stone Brothers guys. People talking about doing just on or just over or just under 300 kilometres an hour. We're up for a fantastic weekend. Quick final comments.
I love it. And to top it all off too, if you're a motor racing fan, it's not just the Super Cheap Auto 1000 on Sunday. Formula One as well from Japan. It's just huge. We can't wait.
And you're going for a ride on that motorbike next week. That's going to be awesome. So MotoGP coming up next week, Chinese Grand Prix, and then more V8 Supercar action from the Gold Coast. Greg, as always, thank you very much for helping out and working so hard for us tonight. Round of applause for Gregory Russ.
Thanks, guys.
Lovely makeup.
Thank you, mate.
Keep the applause going for our mate Brad Jones and, of course, Sandra from Big Pond. Thank you to everybody at 2BS. Thank you, our live audience. Thank you for all around the mountain. And it's goodbye from Panel Beaters. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.